KBIS 2025 brought a whole new energy. Oh my gosh. This new energy and vibe brought on by a number of issues and a number of things that took place in Las Vegas. Ideas, concepts on the minds of both design creatives and their clients, combined with that of the brands that hope to be included in future projects. So much going on. KBIS, the Kitchen and Bath Industry Show, in partnership with the National Kitchen and Bath Association, is one of the few must-attend shows that takes place in America. I believe that wholeheartedly. The event itself is 3 days of brands, talks, programming, things to see, events, happenings, while combined with the International Builders Show in the same footprint of the Las Vegas Convention Center. Every first-time attendee to the show is gobsmacked by the sheer volume of people and product. Even those who are veterans of the event seem annually surprised by the amount of walking, talking, lack of physical preparedness required to fully navigate this show. You can't take it all in, even in 3 days. KBIS is on my list of annual must-attend events for specifiers, designers, architects, and design build firms. Why? There's a few reasons for this, and following is a comprehensive, possibly incomplete, but significant nonetheless, list of things that I love most about this show. Networking. There is someone in the industry that you are hoping to meet. There is a very good chance that they are at KBIS. Even if they aren't, you will certainly meet others with whom you can find strategic opportunities. The event itself is optimally conducive to unplanned run-ins. It just is. Scheduled meetings and introductions. Surprise and delight. This is one of my favorites. Finding new products, materials, and services are what makes the design of a trade show so enticing. You don't know what you don't know, and an event of this size and magnitude makes the process of discovery fun and effective and kind of addictive. The amount of product interaction over 3 days in 1 million square feet of convention space is certainly an opportunity to find new products to incorporate into your designs. Learning and education. So the amount of programming that takes place over these 3 days is significant. There are opportunities to learn a great deal about a vast number of topics in a short period of time, making this one of those rare opportunities that matches your preparedness and willingness to learn equal to the number of opportunities available. In other words, there are more available opportunities for you than you could possibly take advantage of. Exiting the comfort zone of what is known for what is possible. This is an esoteric idea encompassing the willingness to forego what is known about design spaces based largely on what is known from the trade publications and social media. This is an opportunity to look at what is now available to be used in uncommon ways, and it's just magic. As part of my KBIS 2025 experience, I was asked to host the very first KBIS podcast studio. This was an enclosed studio within the South Hall and featured podcasters and podcasts from across the country executing their programming as they saw fit in front of a live audience of event attending peers. I absolutely relish the opportunity to work live. I love working live. To work without a safety net is both exhilarating and allows me to break the third wall and elicit live responses to some of the ideas being discussed. That's just fun. And you're going to hear these conversations over the next 7 weeks in a limited series that you're listening to now called KBIS Confidential, Creative Conversations live from KBIS 2025. How's everybody doing? You good? It's nice to see you. Day 2. What do we think? KBIS, day 2. This is so exciting. Listen, I'm Josh Cooperman. I host a podcast called Convo by Design, which was made basically for you in the design and architecture community. And I am so excited for this next conversation. This is going to be so much fun. So let me set the table for you. This is the KBIS podcast studio presented by AJ Madison. And thank you, AJ Madison and AJ Madison Pro for sponsoring and presenting this podcast studio, giving us an opportunity to have these conversations in an incredible fishbowl that I really love. I love this so much. So listen, I'm super excited about this conversation. This is Luxe for less. And I think every specifier talks about this very subject, every builder, every architect, every designer, because, I mean, look, maybe you're the one designer that has clients with no budget limit. Just go out, just tell me what you want, I'll write the check. Wouldn't that be great?
Amazing.
It'd be amazing, I know. But most don't have that. And so finding tips, tricks, strategies, and techniques is so important. So the table's been set. Now, if you wouldn't mind, sort of introduce yourself so everyone gets a feel for who we're talking to.
Sure. My name is Elena Capra. I am a certified master kitchen and bath designer, as well as an interior designer. I am based in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I have my own firm there. And I've been doing this for about 2 decades. And in addition to working in the design space as a designer, I also work as the spokesperson for Armina Stone, a stone supplier and fabricator in Miami. And I am the industry ambassador for Coverings, the Tile and Stone Trade Show. And I'm happy to be here.
Hi everyone, my name is Jessica Petrino Ball. I am the Director of Trade Engagement and Education at AJ Madison. We have locations in Brooklyn, Washington, D.C., Miami, Florida, Atlanta, Georgia, and soon to be Houston, Texas. But if you don't know me, I'm actually a New Englander, born and raised. And I've been in this industry for about 15 years. I really am a home appliances matchmaker. So fortunately, I have access to 150 brands, and I love helping everyone find the perfect appliances that they're going to love for years to come.
Hi, I'm Tony DiSilvestro. I've been a builder for 25 years. I'm in custom building, remodeling, everything, so I really work on every gamut. Started out as a chef, restaurateur, so kitchens are really my passion. When I work with homeowners, it's really fun. But so I just love it. I build ICF construction, so really concrete homes and high end. But then I do work with the remodeling people as well. So like kitchens are always top of mind, and bathrooms for sure.
So leading right off the top, I have often said, and I believe this to be true, that if you had 10 specifiers in a room, and you said to them, define the term luxury, that you would get 10 different definitions. So I actually want to find out. I will start with you, Elena. What is the definition of luxury to you?
So I think that is, like you said, we'd all give a different answer. And even answering, I'm going to give you several different definitions because I think it's unique to each client and homeowner from a design perspective that you're working with, right? Everyone has a different expectation of what luxury will be for them in their home when you're working with them. So to some, a luxurious home it's about creating the experience. It's about being able to enjoy your space, but it also might be luxurious finishes and luxurious fixtures and appliances. So it's all relative to who you're working with. And that's why, as a designer, for me, understanding my client and setting that expectation of what is going to make your home beautiful, what are those luxurious things that you need to make it beautiful for you and functional. So it's kind of, to me, I say it's unique to each person. It could be something that's really well made. Luxury could be high craftsmanship, really beautiful materials, right? But it could also, like we said, be the experience. So it's all relative, and I think as a designer, that's the best part of the job, is really bringing that to someone and giving them a luxurious experience in their home, no matter what the budget, no matter what the price point.
Tony?
I work with a different range of clients and a lot of interior designers. And, the homeowner has that vision, right? They have a vision of luxury, and luxury is a high standard. Like, if you say the word luxury, people think it's a very high standard. But to every individual, to Elena, like what you were saying, it's critically important to understand the customer's perspective and what their need is. Because, whether you're building a $7 million home, $20 million home, or a $250,000 home, they still have that same vision of luxury. It's just finding that out what it is. And I think that's where they help builders the most, is because they really can get into the minutia with that customer and really set the expectation and create the right result.
I think luxury's love.
That's
great.
Yeah, I want my customers to love their spaces, whether that's a kitchen, a laundry room, an outdoor kitchen, and beyond. I want their life to be better. And, I look at that through the lens of customization. I think that customization, of course, can be portrayed through the appearance of the appliances, through the available hardware choices and finishes, and things that bring excitement from an aesthetic perspective. However, I think customization also extends both to the functionality of the appliances and delivering those experiences, and to the application of those appliances throughout the home. A really good and thoughtful design can really make a difference in a meaningful way.
Amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, totally agree. I also think that providing a bespoke experience, and I think we can all agree, is luxurious. And when I say luxury, I mean it in the terms of that is what every client wants their designer to provide them with. That's what everyone wants. It's not necessarily tied to the budget. It's what they want. And I think, too, that not every client knows what they want, which is part of what designers do. That's part of your superpower.
It is.
Sure.
Where do you start with your clients, trying to separate them from what they just saw on anti-social media, what their neighbor has, and say, and I have been picking on Kim Kardashian all weekend, but, this is what the Kardashians have in their kitchen, so this is what I want in mine. Well, you can't have that. You don't say that. What do you say?
So one of my favorite things is creating unique experiences, and that sort of comes back to bespoke, right, for my clients. They all sometimes come to you with specific things that they like I would like this look or this. But as a designer, what I love doing is guiding them to find what they love and make it their own. That's really what it's about. So, we'll start with, they might show some inspiration pictures and images. We're gonna have a conversation about what types of appliances are going in the kitchen, how do they live in their space. We have to do the due diligence as designers and really interview our clients first before we can get to all the other stuff. I gotta have a clear outline of what we're doing, what happens in the space, what they need, and what those maybe luxurious items that they want to add are. But then that's where the fun begins. That's about picking and putting together. And I always find a good design evolves. It might start with that photo on social media or that magazine picture teared out, because people still do that, by the way, and I love that. I absolutely love getting that. So I feel like once you get there, it will evolve, and that's where it's like you might have a certain appliance brand in mind, but then you see others and your eyes are open to different things, or you might have a certain countertop in mind and we're kind of guiding and seeing something different. I love that process, and it really is a great process to be able to guide and bring them to that end result. And it doesn't always look what the original thing was. It doesn't always look the same. It's better.
Does it ever look like the original idea?
I don't like to do like a cookie cutter design. Every person I have worked with, no matter what the price point, no matter where the job is, no matter what rooms they are, they're always different. Everyone lives differently. If you did the same thing every time, it wouldn't be bespoke, it wouldn't be unique, and it wouldn't be luxurious.
Tony, for your projects, do you have a client before you build? In most cases?
Most cases I do. I'm not a spec builder, so I build custom. And a big part of me, and Elaine, I love what you're saying. So I start out in the very beginning, right, when the concept, a piece of dirt. And then, I'm really working with the architect and the structural engineer. Just even an example, I was working on a big house with a beautiful view, but they wanted a hood. They had the hood design, and I'm like, gosh, I don't want to I don't want to close this view off. So we did a downdraft, and then we took the whole thing. But I have the thermador hood still in my garage that they never used. But so it's really working with those designers and giving them my vision as a construction as far as the structural, the architectural design, and then coordinating with the designer to really make masterpieces.
So you don't, but because you have a client, so you don't have to imagine what a client might want from you. You're getting the input from the client prior to building.
The funny thing is what you're saying is the clients need direction. And, I've heard so many times, like, why don't you let them just tell you that a lot of times they want our direction. They want us to give them that because they don't have that vision. I find very few people have vision. So, and that's where the designer or even a builder at that point that has 3D vision and can see it finished before we actually build it is really valuable.
So Jess, you have so many different personalities that you have to deal with, from the end user to the designer to the client level. How do you and your team navigate all of these challenges to help specifiers get exactly what they want, regardless of if it's what they think they want when they come in?
Communication is everything. It is so important to facilitate communication between the homeowner, the builder, the designer, the architect. Make sure that everyone has what they need to be able to be successful in the project, and then communicate very closely at every single step of the way. And having done this thousands of times with luxury clientele, there definitely is an expectation that we over-deliver, and we really deliver that bespoke experience, not just at the end when the project is complete, but at every single step in the way. So it's so important for the folks that are specifiers to be great communicators, but also to be blueprint literate. Now, going back to what you were asking Elena about, with you get a client that comes in and they have this vision of this amazing French professional range that has these mixed metal finishes, and they have the La Cornue vision, but they have a shoestring budget. Well, my first question to them is, what do you like about it? Because once they give me that answer, whether it's mixed metal finishes or the ability to cook with multiple modalities on the cooking surface, that answer will give me the clue to how I can find a product that's within their budget that's going to make them so happy. So I think just asking the right questions, doing that qualification, and then just being an excellent team player is really what makes these projects so luxurious.
I started doing the podcast. I'm not a designer, never have been. I love design. I love what designers and architects and builders and developers do because of the importance of what home is and what home means. And yes, we can talk about hospitality, we can talk about commercial, we can talk about industrial, but residential is really, it's home, right?
Oh, yeah.
And it's so important. And I think that there's been this evolution of the idea of home. Yes, since the pandemic, for sure, but prior to that, I think things were changing. This idea that, look, an outdoor kitchen used to be a Weber grill, and a really fancy outdoor kitchen was your Weber grill and a water spigot.
There's nothing wrong with a Weber grill.
There is absolutely nothing wrong with a Weber grill. But you don't need a landscape architect or a designer to put a Weber grill out in your backyard. And I don't know that anyone would be satisfied with that idea anymore. You're seeing outdoor kitchens that are tantamount to book matched to indoor kitchens. Do you do that as part of your work? Is that something that's being requested?
I do it all the time. So when I'm building an entire house, I'm looking at the entire platform of what I'm building on. So it's really, and a lot of what I do with the house, I really focus with the homeowners, and I'm like, we're not building your house, we're building your home. So I really at the thought process and the mindset of actually functioning and living in that process. So how are you looking at an outside grill? Do you like the grill? What do you do out there? Is this where you're going to see a gathering where people, if you're cooking, is the smoke going to be in your face? So structurally and architecturally, I'm always looking at every aspect. But then when I'm coming with Elaine, like what I'm doing with her is like, I'm not looking at those finite details where I want textures and stuff like this. And what am I putting on the wall behind the grill? So this, a lot of what I do is the coordinating between the builder and the designer is so critically important for me. And it's a massive, as a builder, it's an amazing help for me because I don't have to worry about all those finite details.
The synergy is so important.
It
Always.
is.
Secondary kitchens. Secondary kitchens off the main kitchen, secondary kitchen in a kitchenette form off of an ensuite, or wine bar, weed bar, if you're in a residential, legal, adult use state. Coffee bars, wine bars, what you're capable of doing is incredible. How do you navigate the wants with the budget?
So I think that, well, first of all, today's consumer they are so educated. They see so much with social media, with everything being out there. In YouTube, you could see videos. Even if you don't travel somewhere, you could experience it in one way or the other on your screen. So people see things they want. They see certain things. Oh, I've seen this there. I want to bring it to my home. So once I know what we're doing, maybe it's in a gym area, we're making a small little, juice bar, right? Or we might do a coffee station in a primary bedroom, right? All of those things. Once we have the budget, we can create a luxurious look at any price point. As a designer, that's what we're trained to do. We're trained to know how to bring our customers' wants into their home. And when I kind of get an idea of what the budget's going to be, educating myself about the products, being able to know the price points at every level and all the features helps me drive them. That's why you work with a professional in design and construction, is our knowledge to guide you to what the right fit is for what you're looking for. So we can guide them to the right product for that budget that will give them that luxurious feel in those spaces.
So Jess, you're brand agnostic.
Mm-hmm.
So we also talk about this. Some clients will come in and say, well, I am loyal to this brand and I want it brand matched. And sometimes it doesn't need to be brand matched. But that's a hard conversation to have. How do you have it?
It doesn't have to be a hard conversation. So I really think that there are so many amazing products out there. There are so many amazing brands, and there is something for everyone. That's why I love working for AJ Madison, because I have access to pretty much everybody's product. Now, if someone is brand loyal, great. We probably can help them get into a kitchen that they're going to love. Now, sometimes someone is so blindly brand loyal, and we saw this during the pandemic a little bit, where we were experiencing a lot of delays with some major luxury appliance brands, and how did we respond? So what we ended up doing was we gave them the option. If someone really wanted to wait for their product, okay. We could hold their hand through that process. However, if they wanted to try something new, we went through every built-in refrigerator cutout in the entire industry, and we said, what can fit in that hole in your kitchen? Because no client wants to be sitting there for a few years waiting for their product to come in. The in-stock promise is great. We really want people to stay on their timeline, and that really just helps us maintain our relationships with the trade as well. But to get back to your original question, if someone wants a particular brand, great. If they want to mix and match, that's also fantastic. Sometimes the best products for a person come from multiple vendors, and that's okay. I think there's so much handle-free product now and label-free product that one can really maintain the design aesthetic that they're looking to aim for, while also getting all of the features and functionality that is the perfect fit for them.
I think it's amazing what brands are providing consumers with right now. Just the things that you can do. Most still don't know what the word sous vide means, but the ones who do can't live without it.
No doubt.
Right? And it's funny because I switched from gas to induction about a year ago. And I'm a longtime gas lover. And by the way, I'm living in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where gas will never be out of style.
Right.
I promise you that. But the opportunity to get induction presented itself, and I really wanted it. And I learned that with gas, you're cooking based on the flame. With induction, you're cooking based on the food. With sous vide, you're cooking and you just don't have to think about it.
I love sous vide.
Right? So you have so many options of what you can provide clients with based on what different brands are putting into their engineering and their research and development. When you're putting a home together, what are you being asked for as far as the multi-kitchen environment? What are you being asked for as far as the performative nature of what a main cooking kitchen can do, or an outdoor kitchen, or an ensuite kitchenette? What are you being asked for that maybe you weren't being asked for 4 or 5 years ago?
For me, being in the restaurant industry for over 41 years and then being in construction for 25 years, I'm hit with both of these all the time. And I'm a massive sous vide person. Like, there's nothing like a ribeye sous vide and then on my cast iron stove. But the biggest thing that I'm finding is, like, I just had a client this week said, hey, how can I do gas and induction? And then I have another client that's doing this sous vide oven, and he goes, I don't need any other appliance. That's all I need. So it's kind of funny, but value engineering all of that is critically important. So when I'm, as a builder, and also focused on in respect for designers, is to make sure that I'm looking at the entire budget. So I'm trying to help them say, what do you love about that sous vide? Because how can I do maybe a different appliance to get us to that point? But like I have customers that love Thermador, and they love that Thermador range, and they, $15,000, $18,000 range. But then, okay, how are we putting GE Monogram in the second kitchen? And really value engineering every aspect, because then I'm dealing with what they want to do in their master bedroom as well. So it's really helpful for me, value engineering, and then getting exactly, if somebody loves sous vide, I'm going to get it for them. I'm going to make sure, I'm going to go to my designer and say, I need this. So, and that's what, working together is amazing.
You're listening to KBIS Confidential. Live conversations from KBIS 2025 from the KBIS Podcast Studio. We'll be right back. Hey, pros, designers, builders, contractors. If you're not using AJ Madison Pro, you're leaving time and money on the table. AJ Madison Pro is the ultimate appliance solution for professionals who need fast, reliable access to top brands without the headache of back orders. Thanks to the in-stock promise, you get products you need ready to ship immediately so your projects stay on track. With nationwide shipping and delivery, AJ Madison's massive logistic network ensures your appliances arrive exactly when and where you need them. No delays, no surprises. And with over 150 top brands, this is your one-stop shop for all things appliances. Their team of industry experts provides personalized service to help you select the perfect appliance for your projects, ensuring a seamless experience from start to finish. Plus, here's an insider tip. Qualified builders and architects gain access to exclusive trade programs with significant savings on select luxury brands. AJ Madison Pro handles the registration for you, so you get the best deals, no extra work required. Join AJ Madison Pro today at ajmadison.com/pro and start streamlining your projects with ease. It's interesting. I've heard that so many times. It's just fascinating that someone can fall in love with a technology like that, and it's wonderful too. And Jess, I'm curious, do you get a lot of requests for up-and-coming technology, and what does it take for new tech, for designers on an adaptation standpoint, and for the clients to adapt, and for the specifiers to ask for it?
I believe technology opens the door for customization in the home. No two families are going to use technology in the same way. I have noticed a tremendous shift in home technology from entertainment-focused features, moving in more of a direction towards practical features. I think every client can really get behind, the self-diagnostics aspect of home appliances, and appliances being able to simplify the service process, which can be a headache for homeowners and trade professionals alike. I think a lot of the technology we're seeing with AI is getting a lot more focused on improving that user experience, but in general, I think it's really what you make of it. Some folks really want to automate everything from their shades, their lights, their security, every aspect of the home. And then other clients are really looking to simplify. Perhaps in their vacation home, they don't want to have all that technology. They really want to go to that place to unplug, and the Wi-Fi turns off at 10 p.m. So every person's a little bit different.
When you're talking to your clients and they tell you that they want something, let me back up. What's your Q&A like as far as how they use what they have, and are they lifelong learners? Like, for example, I would imagine that if you have a client that loves gas, has never used sous vide, and you're going to introduce them to it, they're probably going to want to specify that. How do you manage that?
So, and I'm glad that you brought that up. First of all, I'm in South Florida. We sell a ton of induction. I've been selling it for years and years and years, and I love it, and my clients love it. So even when they might come from somewhere, like we have a lot of clients, it's their second home, being where I'm located geographically. They might have gas in New York City, and then run a condo in Fort Lauderdale or Miami, and it's going to be an induction option because we're not having gas in that building. They don't have gas in that building. So the conversation always starts with, I love to educate them, bring them to a showroom. Demos are great. You want to sell induction, you do that demo of showing like you could put anything down, it doesn't burn, put your hand right on the thing as soon as you lift the hot pot off. That sells it. A demo will always sell something like that. So educating first and foremost. But secondly, for me, I have a lot of clients who have had a specific brand of maybe refrigerator. Maybe they've had Sub-Zero their whole life and they said, I want Sub-Zero in this new home. What is interesting, especially during the pandemic, that when we had different options, it opened up not only consumers' eyes, but designers' eyes to look at multiple brands. And it's always about education, it's about budget. And I think having these conversations, I always get them into a showroom first. That's where the Q&A begins. We start going to something like AJ Madison. You could see all the different brands. You could see different features. Some clients love the black interior of the fridge of Jen Air, and we're building off of that because they want that in their kitchen. And I might be able to mix other brands in because I'm paneling those appliances. So getting into the showroom is part of the Q&A. They got to see, they got to touch, they got to feel, they got to see some of those demos in working kitchens. That's where it all begins, with the kitchen.
It's funny, Josh, you talk about technology, and I find older clients, they were like, oh my gosh, this thermometer's got all these buttons and computers, and it confuses them. They just want that standard. Can I just turn it on? And then if you're using Control 4, and I just want a normal light switch. And so it's really challenging sometimes, really understanding your client, But I know as they learn it, they'll get it and they'll love it, but it is complicated.
Yeah, that's a big part of the conversation is the tech, because there is so many great options with that. But that's where, again, going into a showroom, some people might want traditional knobs, some want digital, some want to be able to have guided cooking, right? But it's pick and choose.
So I think everyone can choose their own adventure. If someone wants to use that Thermador range without the technology, then just don't connect it to Wi-Fi and turn the knobs. It'll turn on. It'll work just like it has.
Second word association for the day, and putting it in context to what we were just talking about, value engineering. Because I can't imagine anywhere in any project that you can't find, and I don't want to call it, and I want your take on this too. I want your opinion, because I don't think you can call it corner cutting, because I don't think it's corner cutting. Yeah. Saving money is often associated with corner cutting, and the last thing, in my experience in talking to designers, the last thing a client ever wants to hear is that you can't fit it into your budget. I mean, that's not the last thing is it's not in stock and we have to do a reselect. But aside from that, it's that you can't fit it into your budget, because there's an emotional reaction, because it makes, I don't think we talk about the psychology enough, but regardless what level you are of home ownership, if you're buying your first home, if you're building your second home, if you're buying the vacation home in the mountains to go with your vacation home at the beach, if you're buying your first $15 million home, doesn't matter where you are in that regard. Finances are finances, and there's always a cap, no matter who you are. But clients don't want to hear you can't fit it into the budget. And when you say, well, we can cut some corners, I know you don't say this, but when somebody hears we can cut some corners or cut costs, they automatically think that they're going to get less than. Psychologically, what's the vernacular? What is the process of the value engineering in your discussion with your clients?
So for me, for homeowners, the beauty of working, so I always look at value engineering this way. I'm not going to skimp on my roof. I'm not going to skimp on my kitchen. I'm not going to skimp on my primary bathroom, because this is where I can value engineer as a builder. So working closely with your interior designer is critically important, because I can say, hey, we don't need that crown molding. I don't need solid core doors. I can use hollow doors. How often are your kids still with you, or are these just extra bedrooms? So I really look at value engineering as the use of the house. Okay, so if I'm going to spend money on the roof, I know that's going to be there. I want that to be there 50 years. My kitchen's something I'm going to be in every single day. My primary bathroom, I'm going to be in every single day. That's where I kind of shift the homeowner into build concept is to really value engineer it so I can give the designer the opportunity to give them what they want in their kitchen. Because functionality is critically important to me, and so where are you working every day? Where are you living in your house? That's where I want to put the money.
And knowing where to save and where to splurge is different for every homeowner, right? So part of that conversation comes into the value engineering, and I think as a designer, for me, that's one of my favorite parts of the job, is being able to deliver the dream, right? At the budget. And yes, do budgets change and shift? Of course, that's part of the process of build, renovation, construction, and furnishing, right? But being able to deliver that dream for your client is so important. So me keeping educated on different price points, different brands, different options, that is the best gift you can give to the clients and the homeowners you're working with. Because then you're able to open their eyes to being able to value engineer certain rooms in the home, certain areas, keep them more in budget. That's why being at KBIS is so important here. As a designer, as a builder, everyone who attends, right? Because we're seeing what's new, we're keeping up to date with what's out there, and that is how we really fit those pieces of the puzzle of renovation and build together for the clients.
I have feelings on this. So I think we really, as human beings, we are not very good at extraction. We're not very good at taking things out of the picture. We're very good at adding them in. Now, I think there is a tremendous amount of education that needs to be done in the initial stages of any project with respect to educating about quality, craftsmanship, and part of the reason why homeowners hire design professionals and work with qualified service providers and finished providers is because we can make it nice so they don't have to do it twice. And so, according to the EPA, the amount of landfill waste is from home renovation projects is like 2.1 million pounds a year. It's like 60 pounds a square foot. And so we can help our clients save the planet and make their design dreams a reality by really providing that education. I would rather specify fewer products that have a greater impact, can really help them stay within their budget, and know that those are products that are going to work for them for many years to come.
Just out of curiosity, your tools that are being offered through AJ Madison Pro, how does that apply to what we're talking about?
So with AJ Madison Pro, we really want to make the process of specifying appliances seamless. We want to make your workday easier. There's kind of this work that goes into needing to figure out which products are going to help the client and then find the specifications and find all of those technical details. And then there are questions with regards to installation and depending on what corner of the industry you come from, there's always questions. And so we want to make sure that you have all of those details at your fingertips, the best pricing from all of the brands, and a person that's capable of answering your questions or helping you should things come up. Furthermore, I'm a marketing person, and so I would so much rather feature real projects. I want to, produce creative across our web channels and our print channels and our advertising that is showcasing real work, especially as we come into this economy and this time. We all could use a little bit more visibility. And so that's where I love campaigns like the Kitchen Design Collective, where we're featuring amazing work. We're really celebrating gorgeous design and the appliances that bring those designs to life.
And as we have, you brought up the current state of the economy. This is not a political conversation. This is purely design. And I'm curious, knowing that tariffs are out there, knowing that a lot of designers have recently received notifications from brands that costs are going up, how do you approach front-running certain economic scenarios? It's not possible for designers to warehouse a whole bunch of appliances. It's just not possible, but there are some things that you can do, I imagine, and I'm curious what that is. And Aline, I'll start with you.
So price increases are part of stuff that we've always dealt with. I mean, it happens annually, and that's part of purchasing goods, right? So sticking to budget, knowing what I need to get for the client. I mean, I like you said, we can't warehouse stuff in advance. I want to give them the newest, and so just it's something we've always dealt with, and it's something that knowing someone's budget, knowing what they need is what we're going to continue to deal with to keep them in budget and to give them the stuff that they want. So it's just about, for me, having a variety of options and knowing how to fit within the budget.
You know, for me, budget is the king. So I'm constantly going over budget every day because I'm working with designers and they're saying, hey, I want this stove. And I'm like, oh, that's $5,000 more than what you budget for. But working with AJ Madison and working with that. And sometimes, a lot of times, I've ordered appliances ahead of time because they said, hey, we're going to have a price increase. I get the Connex box, I put it out on my property, and I'm putting that range in there. So I'm always looking at budget because budget's a big issue that's always comes up with me because I'm building the entire house. So, but I really want to work on that. And just with the economy and where we're going, I don't think it's going to get any easier. I think we're going to have a couple tough years, but I think everything we go working with AJ Madison and your appliance people, I think is critically important to be the futuristic, looking ahead and seeing what we're doing, but then also looking at all the other options they have. Is it Blue Star versus Thermador? What are we doing there? Where are the options and how's the functionality of that same range for $5,000 less?
And I think, that's a really great point because we have dealt with difficult situations before. As design professionals, we have to be resilient to keep waking up every day and helping people, make their projects wonderful, and we're really bringing joy to our clients. So, we've dealt with difficult times before, and we don't really know how any of this is going to shake out. And so it could provide an opportunity for other brands to have a moment. And we don't really know what that's going to look like yet. But, the best thing that we can do is set the right expectations with our clients, get deposits where we need to get deposits, and make sure that we stay on top of it and be mindful and kind of have all of these conversations about value engineering and feature set and quality, and we're going to make it through.
Well, taking that one step further and talking about appliances, when we have a conversation about appliances, most people will automatically say, oh, you're talking about the kitchen. Sure. Not anymore. With the proliferation of GLP-1s and makeup, makeup's not new, but the addition to have the ability to have refrigeration in a bathroom through refrigeration drawers, the ability to have warming drawers in an ensuite bathroom for towels, and you're taking the warming bar off the wall and making a sleeker look for designers. The ability to put appliances elsewhere, to have a second kitchen, to have an outdoor kitchen that is akin to the indoor kitchen is just amazing. Now you're talking about multiple multipliers on your appliance budget, which is a little challenging. Where do you find yourself applying this principle of value engineering while adding some of these things that we've been talking about?
It's funny, I find people find the budget when they really want it. We say value engineering, but I can't tell you how many times I'm like, hey, do you want that $20 square foot porcelain, or do you want the $8? And they find the budget, and especially with designers, that's really where they're working. It's working together. It's a synergy of working together with designers and working with appliance people that understand this, because that's how we make somebody's home amazing. And there's so many different ways you can value engineer a construction project and a design. So it's really, if you don't have a designer in a new build or something like that, it really makes it very difficult to hit your dream home.
All right. So, we talked about this a few times throughout the session, but I think luxury really lies in these details, in this level of customization. So I believe that with the rise of panel-ready appliances with the cabinets on the front of them, we're seeing that the lines between the kitchen and the rest of the home are getting a little blurry, and that's awesome. When your kids are watching movies in the basement and they want a snack, do you really want them running all the way up the stairs, or do you want to put refrigerator drawers and a microwave drawer in that space so that they can self-serve. I love the trend of appliances inside of a primary suite, whether that's inside of the closet with a steam closet and a washer-dryer set that's really good at washing cashmere, or refrigerator drawers for the skincare products and the GLP-1s and makeup. I think the Monogram booth at KBIS did a phenomenal job of integrating appliances throughout the home. So as you walk through that booth, it's really kind of incredible. There's a wine closet with a dishwasher so that you could wash your wine glasses. So it's that thoughtful placement that really kind of punctuates luxury and bringing that spa-like experience home.
I couldn't agree more. I think, honestly, it's really about when you want to go beyond the kitchen with the appliances. Really, as a designer, we help drive that, because while the consumer can see options out there on social and in magazines and all of that, they might not know about some of those things. And as you're interviewing your client and as you're planning the home, those are the opportunities to add them. And again, at every price point, working within the budget, knowing what's out there and how to make it all work.
So we've covered a lot. We have, and I love this. And I want to throw we've already sort of danced around this a little bit, but the taboo subject of the budget. Because nowadays, look, clients don't always tell their designers what their real budget is. Let's be frank about that. And I think in order to get to a point where clients can feel comfortable being completely honest and open with their designer, with their architect, with their specifier, with their partners, they have to have that level of comfort in talking about what the real budget is. And I have my own ideas on what those fears might be. They think that if they give you what the honest, real budget is, you're going to go right up to that line, and you're not going to look for an opportunity to value engineer. Or maybe they're going to want more, and so they're going to want to hold back a little bit. These are my ideas based on my past experience in sales, right? But I'd like to know from you, what is it? Tony, I'll start with you, but how do you have that authentic conversation about budget, and how do you know? You don't ever know if they're being completely honest with you, because they'll find a budget for other things. But how do you start that honest, authentic engagement?
I'm going to talk about from a builder's perspective here, because it's a frustrating point for me, because I'm working on a budget and they're constantly squeezing me like crazy. And then all of a sudden they meet with the designer and I'm like, where did you find that extra money? Like, how are you how come you're doing it for her and not for me? And it's kind of funny, but the thing is, it's really just having that honest conversation with them and saying, hey, I understand. For me, it's passion, right? I want to make sure that they have the beautiful kitchen, the beautiful bathroom. So I will bend on that, but I'm going to value engineer the backside of it and really say, okay, let's look at the entire budget and then say, okay, if you want that kitchen, if you want that range, where can we find it? Because you have to have an honest discussion with the homeowner. Because at the end of the project, the last month of the project, when funds start to get tight, that's when you see the attitudes come in, or they're frustrated, or they don't know if they can afford it, and they can't finish a couple things. So really going through that budget from the very beginning and working with the designer closely is so critically important.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And for me, it's a constant thing that we are revisiting. It's not just like, give us your number, this is what we're going with, and that's it. In residential design, it's a relationship with your clients. It's a trust as well, and it's supposed to be about open communication. So you want everyone to feel comfortable in this process. Being transparent, pricing as you go sometimes, as you're picking things, they might want that specific range that is a big ticket item, right? And regardless of what the budget might be, getting those numbers out there early. I have these conversations as the project evolves continuously, and we're kind of ebbing and flowing. That's where we're cutting back. That's where we're taking, maybe adding a little bit more. So it's a constant part of the conversation. And it's not like just like, here's the budget, then let's go. No, you have to constantly be talking about this in a very transparent manner, and then that's again why they're hiring you as a professional. People hire me because I'm able to guide them that if they love this range and they want something very similar, even though it might not have all the features, even though it might not have that same name brand, I could find them something great that looks beautiful, that will give them what they want. It's really about knowing and product knowledge too, and working with your client in an open and honest way.
So kind of to go with that same line of thinking, I think people don't buy kitchen appliances because of how many BTUs a stove has. Very few people do. But everybody buys their kitchen based on how they want to feel on Thanksgiving morning. And so if I'm doing my job correctly, I am having a really detailed conversation to help the client identify which products are going to spark the most joy, and it does not mean the same thing for every single person. If somebody doesn't drink wine, they shouldn't spend the money on a wine refrigerator. They might be happier with a different type of under-counter appliance. But doing that qualification process can really help narrow it down. And then the benefit of working with AJ Madison is I have 150 brands. I have so many opportunities to ask the question, what do you like about that French bistro style range? And how can we find something that is going to make you so happy on Thanksgiving morning?
It's funny. I think the quicker you can get your appliances into the mix, because I find in new construction and building, appliances are like a secondary thought sometimes, and especially if you don't have a designer, and then it's almost too late because we're already down the road. So the quicker you can get the appliance people, AJ Madison, your designer, involved in the process of picking these crucial items, the better. Honestly, I have a house I'm building with a designer and one without, and it is a nightmare without the designer. And people think that the designer, they look at the cost of a designer and they like, oh my gosh, I can't afford a designer. That designer ends up saving the customer so much money.
I love that you added that, because that definitely is something that it is our job to help them kind of know what else is out there to deliver that dream.
Right.
Will you do me a favor? Will you elaborate on that a little bit? I feel like that ability, that skill, is more of a soft skill that you don't get recognized for. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. It's our designer superpower. Okay. So that's what we have, because it is, you have these conversations. Why hire a professional to help guide you through that process? Because we see so much here right now, seeing so much, seeing what's new, seeing what's out there, working with showrooms and partners that can help us also guide. It's all about connecting with the right people, where to purchase. And we're a team. It's not an individual thing. It's not just the designer. It's all of us. It's the builder. It's the showrooms. It's who we're purchasing from. We work together to help the client. And when you hire professionals like that, you're getting this great synergy of relationships. And I can't tell you how important that is, because even in the time during the pandemic when we needed certain things, those relationships helped us help our clients more. So I thank you for the shout out on the designer part.
And the tools as well that Jess, that your team provides. I also think, I don't want to say this, but I'm going to anyway, because it doesn't apply to everyone. I don't feel that designers always ask enough questions of their showroom partners and of their brand partners. I think there are assumptions that are made, or sometimes things are farmed out to a junior designer, where, hey, find out what this brand's sous vide is and what it's like. And I think that you're going so fast as a designer, and you're working so hard to try to get all your projects done. You're tracking down product, and you're managing projects, and I totally get it. But I think there's a base of knowledge and there's information that you can get from your showroom and your manufacturer partners that I don't think is necessarily asked enough.
When I was a junior showroom associate, I think my relationship with designers was as follows. They would call me. They would say, hi, can you tell me the price on this range? Can you send me the spec sheet on this range? Okay, thank you. Have a nice day. And that was a big miss on my part, because there is so much value in curating powerful relationships and having a great referral network and being that go-to resource. Now, when I work with designers, many of them have my cell phone number, because if they're experiencing a challenge in their workday, I want to make sure that I can make their life easier. And so I think, forging those relationships, having a go-to person. If you are a designer and you're working with a showroom, you need to find a best friend. Because if you don't have that relationship, you are going to be on hold with customer service at corporate somewhere during your workday, and you're going to have a client on the other end that's having a hard time, and it's not going to be a fun experience. It's really important to be able to work with stores that do offer kind of that concierge level service. And even if they don't, find a best friend at the local showroom and make sure that you facilitate that referral relationship. And when you send your clients in to go shopping, that they go to the right person to make sure that the process is seamless for everybody.
Brilliant. That is such great advice. Listen, we have covered so much here. Thank you to KBIS. Thank you so much, KBIS, for having us out, for providing this podcast studio and allowing us to do this. Thank you, AJ Madison, for providing the sponsorship and presenting this space and allowing us to do this. I think it's so great. Elena, Tony, thank you guys so much. This was so much fun, and thank you all for watching. Thank you for sitting here watching us swim around our little fishbowl here. This has been so great. And if you like what you heard, again, Convo by Design, you can find us everywhere. This show will come out soon. Not sure yet when yet, but I will put links in the show notes for you to follow up with all our guests. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of the show. What a remarkable experience. I believe that KBIS is one of the annual must-attend events, not just for all the reasons listed above and for the conversations that you just heard, but so many others as well. Thank you to the NKBA, KBIS, Emerald, AJ Madison, and all of the amazing creatives who came on the show and came into the podcast studio and shared their stories. Just extraordinary. Thank you for listening to Convo by Design presents KBIS Confidential. As always, please join in the conversation on Instagram at Convo by Design with an X. And if you'd like to reach me with a note, show, or guest suggestion, please do. Email me, convobydesign@outlook.com. Thank you. And until next time, stay focused and rise above the chaos.